Funeral parlour giant Icebolethu Group has defended its decision following public outrage over the rejection of a funeral claim linked to the late Sbonelo L Zaca. Now, the company says the decision was based on official reports that allege the deceased was involved in criminal activity at the time of his death. In a statement issued this week, Icebolethu confirmed that the declined claim was submitted under a policy held by Nozipho Phille Zaca. While extending its condolences to the family, the group says it stands firm by its decision. According to Icebolethu, the claim was subjected to standard assessment procedure and referred to the underwriter in accordance with the policy's terms and conditions. To help us better understand what policy terms mean for consumers, we're now joined by Nonhlanhla Nxele, founder and CEO of Esteemed Financial Solutions. Nonhlanhla, thank you so much for your time. When we look at the statement by Icebolethu, one can't help but think of the basic legal principle of innocence until proven guilty. And some of the issues that are looked into when these kind of decisions are made.
Good afternoon, Linda, and thank you for having me this afternoon. Before I start out, firstly, I would like to say condolences to the Zaca family. And, it's very sad when these kind of things happen, because of not understanding what has happened in the policy. But these things are happening most of the time because we do not take maybe the opportunity to want to understand what are the T's and C's or the terms and conditions of the policy. And in this situation, it was, well, with the information that I've read, is that it was actually some criminal activities that were happening at the point of this gentleman passing away.
They're also citing that their decision is in line with some of the rulings that were made by the ombuds in other cases. But I want us to take a look at the general principles that would be looked at. I mean, issues like burden of proof and issues like clarity of wording and materiality in this respect.
Yeah. So most insurers actually are guided by the policyholder protection rules, which is under the Long-Term Act, right? Which is basically a guide that basically tells you to say what are the policy exclusions. So those are the specific wording that each an insurer uses or write in the policy document, which needs to be disclosed as well during the sale of a product. So when it comes to those things, it is then important then to say that inform your client of what are these T's and C's or the policy information or the policy terms relating to this policyholder protection rules, because they are exclusions when it comes to these kind of policies.
And many a times people take policies for, peace of mind in case an incident happens. But like you indicate, the devil is in the detail, and those T's and C's often really do catch up with them. But the issue of the jargon where the insurance company does not explain to the policyholder who's taking that, because ultimately also they're chasing a sale.
Which is quite right, Linda, when you say that most of the time it is really chasing a sale. So most sales agent would actually give you a summary of what the policy entail or the benefits of the policy, and not really go much in detail of what are these exclusions. And even for you as a policyholder, sadly, Linda, you wouldn't think that a family member could go and do certain criminal activities, unfortunately. And in this situation, I would like to believe that the policyholder probably could have not been aware that their family member was going to do some criminal activities. But these are the standard or common exclusions that gets added into the policy document, which is very crucial for us as consumers to always get the opportunity to read or even ask questions around it. Because at the time of sale, you've got a sales agent is given a limited time to sell the product, to sell the benefits, and just give you a summarized version of it, and it ends there. But then it also lies on us as consumers. When you receive the policy document, what do we do? And we are all guilty of it. We hardly read these documents, but I would say from today, let it be a lesson that we take the opportunity to understand what are these exclusions that we have in our policies that we have currently.
Yeah. Isn't it dangerous, though, given the fact that issues related to criminal activities are sometimes complex? They're not as easy as ABC. Charges can be withdrawn, and the people that would have been left are the family members who, suffered the consequences of a decision that was based on preliminary investigations. How do then, insurance companies navigate this space where the lines are often blurred, investigations can change and point to a different direction?
So in this situation, obviously, it depends on when they were busy reviewing the claim, because one, they need to look at what does the postmortem report say, what does the police report say. So there must be, of course, a specific investigation happening. And if should it be that there is delays in this investigation, unfortunately, it also gets to delay in terms of payment. And that is unfortunately the sad part, because without that, these are the grounds or the insurance laws that the insurer must follow as well to make sure that they are paying the policy according to those rules.
Let's talk about some of the rights that consumers need to know, or some of the rights that they have, given the fact that, like you indicated, there are a lot of blurred lines when it comes to this issue.
Sorry, Linda, I didn't get you there. I think there's a bit of a network connection from your side. So if probably could repeat the question.
Yeah, I want us to talk about the legal and consumer rights, right? Given the fact that the lines are often blurred when it comes to issues of criminality, right? What rights does the remaining family have? Because if the payment is delayed and it's later found that the person wasn't in fact involved in criminal activity, what rights do they have, and what legal recourse does the family have at that point, other than just a payment?
In that space, unfortunately, I'm not a specialty in that field to specifically guide you to say what will be the case. But mostly, I would say that it is important to have a communication with the product supplier or the insurer at that point in time, because what happens is that in this situation, there's always communication between the claimant and the insurer to say, what is the status, what is happening? There's always communication. Should it be that certain things have come up and come out to say that this was not a criminal activity, therefore then the insurer is then obligated to make
I'm afraid we seem to have lost that connection to Nonhlanhla Nxele, the founder and CEO of Esteemed Financial Solutions, who's helping us better make sense of, that decision by Icebolethu to decline a payment following allegations that the deceased person, who, of course, their family was claiming from, had been allegedly involved in criminal activity. So basically taking us through the T's and C's, but most importantly saying that it's important to read and understand those T's and C's beyond just ensuring that you have peace of mind in taking out a funeral policy this new year, which is something that a lot of us will be doing as we try to get our lives in order. So quite an important conversation, which we could continue that conversation, but unfortunately that line has disappointed us.